Hello and welcome to the Black Cat Bushcraft channel. Today I wanted to share with you guys an idea that I was working on. Recently I was pulling out my kit and going through it and just figuring how can I use the items in that kit in more than one way. And I got to my spice kit, which I carry in my bush pot or in my mess kit, and I pulled out some of the spices, which some of them I carry are cinnamon. I almost always carry cinnamon. I carry cayenne pepper. I'll carry sage sometimes, depending on what I'm cooking. I will carry ginger. There are several different ones that I carry. And so I started pulling those out, and I was looking at them, specifically each one has its own medicinal qualities to it. So one, it's good for spice, for my food. Two, it has a medicinal element to it, which helps towards first aid or self-aid. And then number three, I started toying around with the idea that maybe those powders, those powdered herbs, can be used to make an ember. So number three, it becomes part of my fire kit. So I wanted to demonstrate that for you today and kind of experiment with a few of them and just bring you along for the ride. So stick with me, we'll pull out those spices and we'll give them a test. Alright, let's test out several of the spices that I often carry in my spice kit. One of the first ones that I almost always carry is cinnamon. I use cinnamon a lot. It has great medicinal characteristics to it. Just make a little mound of it right here on the end of this board. The next one I'm going to use is sage. Just plain old rubbed sage. This one is a lot different texture. It's more feathery. It's very light, dry. So it'll act a little bit different than the cinnamon or some of the others that we're going to look at. Another one, ginger. Ginger has great medicinal benefits as well. You're going to see it has a little bit different property too when we do this. Slightly finer texture. And that's going to affect the way it acts when we put heat to it. Let's see, another one that I'm going to try. This is one that I carry all the time. Cayenne pepper. A lot of you guys probably use cayenne as well. Just get all these spices here into a little mound. Doesn't require a whole lot. Alright, and I've got one other one that I'm going to use in a minute. This is paprika. I'll save that one for last, but for no particular reason. But anyway, let's test these. So let's start out with the cayenne pepper. So when I hit that with the magnifying glass, you can see it starts to smoke quickly. The only downside to the cayenne is that smoke, if you suck it into your lungs, it'll make you cough. Because it is a spicy pepper, and the smoke is spicy too. It smells good as long as you don't get too much of it, but if you suck in a whole lot of it, it'll choke you. It does coagulate very fast, as you can see, and it quickly creates a big whopping ember that you can utilize. Alright, let's go to the sage. The sage, being a light texture like that, it also ignites fast, and it coagulates pretty quick as well, and it smells excellent burning. Could probably use this method. It's camp potpourri. I know that sounds silly, but actually I am curious, if I did this in my camp, would it deter mosquitoes and bugs? It's the thought. I'm hitting the cinnamon right now with the magnifying glass. Cinnamon's one of my favorites. Of course, because of the smell, also because I always use it, always carry it, and it does make a great ember. Just try to char a big area on the top of that mound. That gets the ember going good. The last one here is the ginger, and the ginger of all of these is probably the slowest one to coagulate. It does work, but it just takes a little time. And sometimes I wonder if the lighter color of it doesn't make a difference, or it's just the properties of the herb itself. As you can see, of all of these, the sage is burned up. This thing is coagulated. I'll show you. This is one big, look at that, one big ember. You can see where it's charring the board underneath. This also, the cayenne, is one big ember coagulated together there. That's a whopping ember. It would definitely be effective if you inserted it into a bird nest. The ginger is the one that's going to take the longest, and it is burning, but it's just slow. This one smokes the most, which is not necessarily a good thing. As I mentioned, it'll choke you. The sage burns up the fastest, so if you're in a hurry, that might be a good choice. The cinnamon coagulates really well. It works good. I like the cinnamon, and the scent is not overwhelming. It doesn't choke you if you breathe in the smoke. The ginger's a little slow, so each one kind of has its own properties. All right, I got me a little bird nest over here. It's kind of puny, but it's just what I've got on hand. And got a little piece of tulip poplar bark here I'm going to use as a welcome mat for my paprika ember. And let's test this out and see if this is really a viable ember. And just make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do. It's a really pleasant scent coming off of this stuff. I really do wonder how it would affect bugs. If you just had a pile of that stuff charring in your camp or around your, if you were sitting somewhere around your chair or whatever, it'd be interesting to see. And the paprika is one of my favorites as well because A, the scent's not too strong, and then also it coagulates quickly. It readily takes that sunlight, makes the ember come up real quick. Alright, we'll let that coagulate for just a minute before we try to insert it into the bird nest. This one smokes a lot as well. But doesn't like the cayenne. It's not quite so harsh if you catch a whiff of it or if you breathe in a little bit too much of it. Alright, let's see if we can work with that. Alright, hopefully you could see that. So definitely a viable ember there. Alright, well there you have it. This is definitely a viable way of creating an ember utilizing items that you may already be carrying in your kit. And if you're not carrying these spices with you, it may be worth adding to your kit. A, it makes your food more palatable. B, each of these herbs that I've talked about all have a medicinal quality to them, and I definitely recommend that you do your own research on that. And C, if needed, these items can now become part of your fire kit. I'm a strong proponent of solar ignition. If you think about it, you're not expending any resources, I guess in this case, other than the spice itself. But utilizing the sun's energy is something that's already there, it's natural, and it's renewable. If I'm striking my ferro rod, I'm using up that resource. If I have to go carve a bow drill set and run that, I'm expending calories and hydration. If I'm utilizing that sunglass, it's very quick, creates that ember, and with very little energy, I can create my fire. Again,
conditions allowing. That's the key. So when the sun is out and it's available, I try to utilize it and save those other things for the times when that's not an option. Anyhow, I thought I'd share this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to talking to you with another video as soon as possible. Until then, take care. God bless.